Hi there. You're listening to the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse, and I'm your hostess, Heather Wayman. Hi, everybody. It's Heather Wayman, director at Belly Dance Geek, and welcome to episode 71 of the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse. This episode is sponsored by the Belly Dance Bundle. The 29 Bundle is a collection of fantastic dance products contributed by 22 dancers from around the world, and Nadira's Rock the Routine course is included. The bundle is geared towards helping you figure out what to practice, and it's all online at your own pace, but with community and accountability built in. It's on sale right now, but only through October 23rd, 2019, and you can check out all the contributors at bellydancegeek.com/bundle. And if you've got a product, service, or event that you like to promote, we'd love to have you as a Clubhouse sponsor. It helps us cover the cost of producing the show, and it helps you reach over 15,000 enthusiastic and engaged belly dance geeks. You can find info on sponsoring the Clubhouse at bellydancegeek.com/sponsor. And finally, the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse is a place where dancers can get together and geek out on all of those things that are hard to get in classes and on DVDs. If you want help with the what, things like moves, combos, and choreography, there are a lot of resources out there for you. But if you need help with the why and the how, things like musicality, culture, business, and composition, that can be a lot harder to find. So every month we interview a different guest expert on a different geeky topic, and we always have time for questions and answers so you can geek out too. So if you think that knowledge and creativity go together like chocolate and peanut butter, or maybe red wine and chocolate, you are in the right spot. My guest today is Zaina Brown. She's a professional belly dancer and a relentless traveler. She's the author of Fire in the Belly, a memoir of falafel, flings, and shiny things, published in 2019. Zaina's book uncovers the seedy Middle Eastern entertainment industry and takes the reader on a journey across Africa and the Arab world. She's also a filmmaker. Her documentary, Traveling Belly Dancer in India, is a winner of the Canadian Accolade Award and has screened at film festivals in the U.S. Check her out on Facebook and Instagram at Zaina Brown. Welcome, Zaina.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
So nice to have you with us, and thank you so much for coming on with us from Vietnam at 8 o'clock in the morning where you're at.
Got my cup of coffee.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. I always like to start off every call asking my guests to tell us their origin story, how you got started in belly dance. Just don't worry about rambling. Tell me everything.
Well, what happened was I was 13. I was growing up in a small town in Finland. And I don't know, I just saw an ad in the local little newspaper that there's a belly dance class starting the next day. I didn't know what belly dance really was. I had a vague idea. It said to bring a scarf. I didn't know what to do with it. I went, and then I saw the women tie the scarves around their hips, tied on the side. I was like, oh, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. I did the same. Took the class, and somehow through this first 90-minute class, somewhere along the way, I just became hypnotized. I don't know. And I came out of that class with this knowledge that I'm going to do this always. I don't know how, I don't know in what way. I wasn't thinking professions or anything like that. God, no. But yeah, I was like committed from the first class. Needless to say, nobody took me seriously in my commitment at first, but yeah, that's what happened.
And how old were you? Did you say you
I
were
was 13.
13, yeah.
13, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. So your mother wasn't
She was
turned
like,
off?
whatever.
Okay. She probably
We'll
thought
see
it was
how long
fun.
this lasts.
And look at you now.
Look at me now.
Oh, so from that point to now, or when you decided to go pro, was your family surprised? Was your mother like, "Wow, I can't believe you stuck with this"?
Well, yeah, surprised and kind of like not believing in it for a long time. And yeah, it took me a long time to really become professional because in Finland, you didn't really have opportunities. So I ended up moving to New York City to pursue dance, not to specifically stay there and dance there, which is what I ended up doing, but to take classes and to study and become better. And that's where I stayed. So I can say that that's where I really became professional. And I think by that time, like people had just kind of given up on me, like
Your family?
no, I mean in the sense that I guess that's what she's doing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah. I guess that's it then. Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when you moved to New York?
I was 22.
Oh, wow. You were very young. Yeah. So, off to the big city you go, and wow.
And I stayed. Yeah.
For how many years?
I was there like 4 years in the beginning, and then I went to work in the Middle East. And then I kept going to the US for short times and back and forth for many years,
Yeah.
mostly in the Middle East.
And I think if I recall from your book, um, uh, Memoirs of Falafel Flings and Shiny Things, did you go back periodically to take more dance classes, or did you go back because of visa issues,
No,
or?
no, I was maintaining my green card.
Right, that's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's
because at that point I thought I'm still gonna somehow end up in the US eventually, but I didn't.
oh, well,
Yeah,
now you're traveling all over.
yeah.
What an interesting life. Um, so the subject of booking agents is very interesting to me, and I've like I said before we came on the show here, I've been reading your book, and it's fascinating.
Thank you.
How did you? At what point did you figure out that you needed a booking agent, or tell me about booking
Um,
agents?
I somehow had this knowledge even coming from New York. I knew that in the Middle East everyone has an agent. It was just anecdotal knowledge that I had, that while we freelanced in New York and we went to different places, that once you're in the Middle East, you can't just roam around and like, you need a middleman, you know.
Hmm.
So I don't know how I found out. I just knew that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if maybe this doesn't happen, I have no knowledge of how things work that way other than, what I'm reading because I have not danced in the Middle East. Um, if someone were to go there and dance or try to dance without an agent, would that just be an impossibility or?
No, not an impossibility. And depends, like we say Middle East, but it's a ton of countries,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So you could be, say, in Turkey and you don't need a middleman, or you could be in Egypt. Things are changing fast. And yes, there's also a lot of freelancers now in the Gulf. But at that time, the Gulf, like Dubai and the surrounding areas, were very much controlled by agents.
Uh,
It's simply that they had the contracts with the venues.
right.
So if you wanted to dance in those places, you had to go through them. They were like the gatekeepers
I see.
to the venues.
I see. So it really
Yeah.
kind of depends on
Where
where
you
you
are. Yeah,
are.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still like that. You said Egypt is changing. Is it getting more like that, or was it more like that and now it's getting less so?
Well, I think Egypt has become a little bit wild in the recent years.
Hmm.
It used to be very much like, okay, you have the boats, you have the five-star hotels, you have, the resort towns, and and every girl, as far as I know, basically had a manager taking care of their work for them. And now it's like all these different clubs popping up, and now there's girls on the bars and stuff. And I'm not exactly sure how everything works there these days, but it's very much opened up to having many more venues and many more in between kind of venues than just this and this,
So like different
if that
levels
makes sense.
of, yeah, different
Yeah.
different levels of performers, or different, I hate to say it this way but I can't think of another way to put it, a different class level of performers.
Yeah, but also so many more venues, different types of venues. Like the same girl might be on a boat dancing for tourists in a very PG rated environment, and then the same dancer might be in a club, which is much more like fun.
Aha, a little more raucous.
Yeah, raucous, yeah.
Okay.
So I think social media has changed things a lot, in the sense that people are able to find each other much more easily than before.
Oh yeah.
Like venues are able to reach out to dancers through Instagram these days, whereas before, like how would they have found them, you know? And
Yeah.
so the middleman has become less important in many places,
I see.
which is both good and bad, but we can
Yeah.
get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, so how did you come to contact an agent, your first agent? Have you always had the same one or?
For the most of the time, most of those years that I was actively dancing in the Middle East, it was the same agent with a couple of exceptions. Um, I knew his name even coming from New York. I knew of this person's existence, and he was really I guess still is like the main, most important, best in quotations agent in the Gulf market.
Mhm.
So I knew that that was the guy I had to find. Finding him was not easy at that time.
Oh, yeah, tell me about
And
that.
now you can just Google his name, and you find a website. At the time, I don't know, he didn't have a website, or it couldn't be found through a Google search. Like, I think they're still very much like they have Facebook, but I don't think they use it.
That's probably true.
Like this
Yeah.
is very old school Lebanese people. Like I think they just go through word of mouth and phone numbers, you know?
Yeah. I
So
hate
yeah, it was
Facebook.
he was difficult to find at first, but then somebody found his email address in their archives for me, and I was able to reach them that way.
I see.
And
So you,
speaking of the name I use in the book is not his name, but it's very close.
okay. All
It's very
right.
close. I'm in no way trying to hide his identity, so
Okay.
anyone who knows him in real life immediately knows that it's him.
Okay. Well, we'll just save that for the book for folks who get the book. It's fantastic. It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle. I'm reading it on my iPad, and it's like I said, it's fascinating. Okay, so you sent this gentleman an email, and then
Hmm.
what?
I got a response from a secretary type person saying, okay, can you send in photos, video, passport copy, your height? I forgot what else was there, just the basics, you know,
Hmm.
everything. And I did. And they got back to me quickly and said, okay, we can work together. We'll have work for you. And then I waited.
You waited.
I waited, but not
You
too long.
hurried up and waited.
I waited.
But eventually work came.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I guess, well, that, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like a long time, but I'm sure from your perspective, it was.
Yeah, yeah. But that's just the introduction to what it is to work with an agent. You're
Yeah.
always, unless you're very fortunate and you have a very and they give you work consistently, a lot of times it is waiting in between the contracts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. Um,
And not knowing when are you going to work next.
yeah.
And then when it happens, it's very quick and you have to be ready and you have to get your stuff and go.
So you're always
Sometimes
ready.
on a day's notice. Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it, I guess it's probably more common to play the waiting game than it is to be the handful of people that I can only imagine are the ones that have consistent work all the time. Is that a fair statement?
That has also changed over the years. It used to be that these Brazilian dancers were very popular in Dubai, still are. But now there's also Argentinians, Mexicans, others. It used to be very much controlled by this one agent and his Brazilian dancers.
Mm-hmm.
And many of those girls were working all year long except for Ramadan, and they had one contract ending this day and the next one starting the next day, and they had a program set up for them. And these days it's not quite so anymore. I'm sure some of them still do, but there are so many more freelancers and so many more freelancing options.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of girls have gotten tired of waiting for work and tired of being on standby and instead started freelancing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a less safe option to do, or is it okay?
It depends for whom. For someone, it might be the far better option because then you're in control of your life and your work, and and for someone else, having someone give you the work would be the better option. It depends on your situation.
Yeah.
I don't think either are unsafe in the sense that everything is still like it's just a matter of paying your own rent, paying your own residence visa, paying your own car, your transportation, all these things. So once you start freelancing, the bills are on you.
I see. Yeah.
Whereas if you do contracts through an agent, there's normally accommodation, there's food, there's everything.
Oh, that's interesting. But at the same time, you're also dependent on that
Yes.
person, which is a little scary. It could be a little scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Pros and cons.
sorry. Oh,
Pros and cons, big
yeah.
time.
Yeah. So when you get a contract, did the agent pick up the travel fee to send you to where you were going?
Normally the client does that to a point. If you're coming from a long, long distance, they may not cover the whole thing.
Mm. Okay. But you booked your own tickets and...
Usually I booked my own tickets and I got reimbursed, and I much preferred booking my own tickets.
Well, yeah, because then you can
generally
be the time and...
Yeah.
They'll put you on the red eye every single time.
Not necessarily, but like sometimes they don't know your life. So when you want to arrive and through what, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. You mentioned something when we were getting ready for this call some weeks ago about the rise of the fake agent. Let's talk about that. What makes a fake agent?
India. Ooh.
I heard nothing.
Yeah, super prevalent in India. So I should use that as the example case. Oh my goodness. All these guys setting up their little Facebook pages, taking photos from other people's Facebook pages and presenting them as their own. And in Indian weddings, where there's a lot of work for foreign dancers, they set up these huge stages, like with amazing LED effects, lights. It looks like a huge, impressive thing, right? Yeah. So click, you take a picture of that. Better you take it from someone else. You don't even take the picture yourself. You make it your cover photo. And oh wow, you look like a big producer of a big event. And people overseas who don't know look at it and think, oh, this guy must be a big deal, In reality, he might be living in his parents' house. He's trying to hire someone to come and work. He's going to give them a room in his parents' house.
Oh my gosh.
Has happened. Yeah, for real. And he's hoping that once the dancer is there, and then he can book work for the dancer.
Wow.
It's not like he has work.
Yeah. So
he's
she
hoping
comes
to,
under the understanding or thought that she's going to be working when she gets there, and she gets there and finds out, oh, this guy wants to put me in a room in his mother's basement, and there's no work. Or does the ruse not end there?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of risk for your life or anything like that. But yeah, and oftentimes they promise an X amount of money. They don't have the money. Okay, they're hoping to make the money, and this is what a lot of foreign dancers don't understand. But he said he'll pay me this much. Well, if he can, he will try to. He's hoping to, but you know, if this guy never worked with anyone before and he cannot give references to you, like, oh, you can talk to this dancer and this dancer, then he's a beginner and he doesn't have anything set up. So if he doesn't make the money, you will not make the money. Simple as that. Simply because he doesn't have it, okay?
Yeah.
And whatever you do, don't buy your own ticket in this case.
Oh my gosh. No, oh my gosh.
He may never have the money to pay you back. You know, but
yeah.
So many times, like, dancers sometimes contact me and they give me examples of this. Oh, this guy, he's saying this and this, and should I go? And I'm like, just because he's saying it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like, yeah.
And don't ever let him buy you a one-way ticket.
Yeah, or be ready to get your own ticket out of there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so when this happens, these poor dancers are getting there, and the guy is thinking that he's going to be able to go to a venue and say, "Look, I've got this dancer. Can I get a?"
The way they work in India is like there's a ton of these guys, and they all kind of cooperate. So when somebody books a wedding show and now they need 10 dancers, he contacts the other guys. He collects 10 dancers from his little group of colleagues. You know what I mean? So it's like in the end, you work with everybody and everybody takes a little tiny cut. It's like all these middlemen, like tons of layers of middlemen between you and the client. It could be like you work for this guy and then he got booked through this guy and then this guy and then this guy. So I can see how a guy can be like, why can't I do that? I should also get some dancers and I should also try to do that. But in reality, it may not be that simple to.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
he's going to end up renting that dancer around, which is not a terrible thing, but like that's the reality of it. Yeah.
And also, it could be that there are 4 or 5 middlemen taking a cut of the dancer's pay, if there is any, and that ratchets down her share. Yes?
Well, if normally they pay a salary, a monthly salary. So, and really that's the best way for you because you don't want to be dealing with any of this nonsense. You just want to, you just want your X amount of money in the end of the month, and like regardless of where you danced, how many times, who booked it, like you want nothing to do with that.
Right. Oh gosh.
And then the other kind of different type of fake agent that comes to my mind is, so there's a guy in Cairo, apparently very famous, infamous in Cairo these days. And if you go and he's contacting dancers all around and everybody's trying to get their little 15 minutes of fame, Cairo fame, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at he doesn't pay them. If you look at his Facebook profile, it's like, this dancer did this show and this dancer did this show and this one. And you wonder, how come all these different dancers and everybody doing 2 shows? Something fishy here, no? Like, how come this working relationship lasts for 2 shows?
I see.
And then there's the next girl and the next girl. Everybody got stars in their eyes. Oh, this guy, like, I was going to Egypt anyway, so I'm going anyway. I'm buying my own tickets, you know, no problem. And this guy promised me work and he's advertising me and stuff like that. In the end, he screws them all. Yeah,
that doesn't pay him anything.
Maybe sometimes he pays somebody because he wants them to do the next show. I don't know. But every dancer in Cairo knows this guy and knows his game.
I've heard some of these stories.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
And that's a fake agent to me. Yeah. Like a reputation check. Hello, you know, you got a guy contacting you through Facebook from overseas. How did he find you? Why does he want to hire you and not somebody nearby?
Yeah.
You know?
And so these are probably the people that do these random friend requests of dancers to
Oh
their
God.
account.
Yeah.
That's I always delete them. I take a look,
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah. Hell no. Yeah. Yeah.
because the red flag goes up. So that's probably
Yeah.
how it gets started.
Yeah.
And then I can understand. I can certainly understand wanting to dance in Cairo, and but you have to be careful though because there are requirements there, and if you get caught without filling them, it's not a good thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have their laws, but at the same time, it's always been this game between the belly dance police, the Musannafat,
Hmm.
and the dancers and the venues. So in the end, the venues know how to protect themselves. Otherwise, they go out of business, right?
Yeah.
They all pay bribes. They all take care of the law enforcement at their end. So in the end, the dancer normally doesn't have to be dealing with it. Sometimes they still have to be dealing with it,
Yeah.
but that's not the main concern, in my opinion. It's the middlemen that's the main concern.
Yeah. Well, gosh, like you said, sometimes it's easier to. It depends on your situation. Sometimes it's easier to be your own agent, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and other times you need that.
Yeah,
So it's kind of being, if you want to dance, it's kind of you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
and that's correct. Yeah,
If you really want that. Yeah. So, you in the United States, I don't know about Finland, but in the United States, contracts are king. Contracts, contracts, contracts. Let's write it up. And sometimes
yeah,
they're not worth the paper they're written on, even in the U.S. But
yeah,
how does it differ in the Arab world, in the dance
yeah,
world over there?
yeah. I think it needs to be pointed out that when we say contract, we just mean kind of the time period you're dancing in a certain place. That's a contract.
I see.
It's not an actual written contract on paper. Like, out of all the contracts I did, I think I signed a physical contract a few times, maybe 3 times. I have a feeling that oftentimes there is no actual contract even between the agent and the venue. There's just an agreement, you know? And if somebody doesn't honor the agreement, then you stop working with them. I mean, typically there's not much else to be done. And well, if you're working with your agent, then that's his problem, or it should be his problem. It can, in the end, you can also lose money. That has happened, but he should be the one fighting with the client, right? If there's
Yeah.
any issue about the money. But yeah, it's so funny to me. Like, yeah, Americans love contracts. That's for sure. They think, oh, somebody owes me $5. I can go to the small claims court and I'll get it right back. Yeah, you try that in a foreign country. You try that. You get yourself a lawyer and start a court case. Like, in many countries, that's just not feasible in any way. It's not doable. Even if there's a functioning court system, it could take years or whatever. Like, it's just not. You cannot navigate that shit as a foreigner. Like,
Yeah.
forget it. Yeah, you have to cut your losses and just, yeah,
Yeah.
or
Dan,
find another way to pressure them. You know what I mean?
yeah, I guess.
Like I did in Egypt one time. I don't want to spoil anything from the book, but yeah, I
We'll
found
we
the
won't listen to
alternative way to
anything
try
you
to get
say.
my money. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Um, did you have very many instances where it didn't work out and you ended up leaving
No,
empty-handed? Oh, that's
no, no.
okay.
Sometimes there was some kind of accounting issue, like the days didn't match. This kind of thing was very common. And often it's just people's sloppiness. You
Mm-hmm.
argue about how many days you worked. Things like this. Oh, was the flight supposed to be covered? No, the agent said we don't have to cover. Yes, they did. This kind of thing.
Oh,
But in the end,
yeah. But if
nothing
you're working
major.
with the agent, then the agent's responsible or should be for fighting that battle, yeah?
Should be. Sometimes they just can't be bothered. It depends on, like, if they think they can get the money, yeah, they'll fight for it. But if they think this client is kind of like on their way out anyway, and then they might not care at all.
Yeah. Well, if the
Yeah.
client's on their way out, then they won't be working with them anyway. And if that happened too many
You
times,
would think, you would think. But then there's like clients that keep popping back and they try not to pay anyone. And still the agent keeps sending them someone every so often. And they know that the girl ends up fighting there, but yeah.
But I guess word gets around though. It's a small world.
It is. Yeah.
So if that happens too many times, it starts to spread like wildfire, and then soon the dancers won't have anything to do with them, right?
Yeah, or at least the dancers know what to expect because they talk to each other and they have a way of trying to deal with it.
Yeah. Girl, dancers talk to each other.
They sure do.
Oh, anyway, wow. Okay. So I can imagine that, the dream scenario would be to, let's say, go to Egypt and dance in a beautiful five-star hotel and, have lovely accommodations and all this fancy food and just, basically be treated like royalty in the dance world. Does that happen?
Not in Egypt, no.
Does it happen anywhere?
Uh, yeah, like it can be a little bit that way if you have nice contracts in nice hotels in like Dubai or something. But I don't think it ever brings you fame. Like so many amazing working dancers in like the Gulf, and I feel like the belly dance world at large in the Western dancers and all that, I don't think they ever heard their names because often the dancers know people who teach at festivals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Those are the celebrity dancers in many instances. And the working dancers are like another world.
Oh,
you know?
interesting. Yeah. Well, that makes sense because they're busy doing that work.
Working, yeah, they're busy dancing.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah.
festival, I don't want to take anything away from festival teachers
Mm-hmm.
because that's not glamorous like it looks like it might be. And I know it's got to be some serious work too, traveling frequently, and it's just a different thing. Yeah. Okay. So if you're not dancing in a great big fancy hotel, where else? You know
In
where
a
I'm going
city
with this.
nightclub. Oh yeah. Yeah, the funny thing is like before you mentioned like are there many levels of dancers? Like sometimes people perceive it that way based upon the venue. Like, oh, there's like this shitty nightclub. Well, only shitty nightclub dancers dance in shitty nightclubs, but it could be the same person the next month in like a very upscale family restaurant. But like it's the same agent who might send you this month to this place and this month to this place. And like you're not going to say no because you really shouldn't say no to any contracts, right? They don't like you saying no because then, next time they don't offer you anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. We
So
can't find you anything now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you go wherever you kind of are sent, and the agent, even if it's like the best agent, he will kind of take any work that pays.
Because he's going to get a cut.
Yeah, it's all about the money. It's all about the commissions. The purpose of the agent is to take commissions, not to be your agent and be your support system. No, no, no. They're just there to take money. It's a business, and that's fine. So yeah, they are not selective in any way about the clients.
Oh. But do they, I don't know if I should ask you this question. It
Go for
seems
it.
like, well, did they do care about, your safety and where they're sending you, right? They're not going to send you to something that might be harmful to you, or would they? There's a story I can tell.
Well, I mean, look, the Arab Spring happened, right?
Yeah.
And there were many countries that were getting a bit unstable, but the work went on until it really couldn't go on. So yeah, there was a friend of mine who was in Tunisia when the revolution broke out, and they were truly scared,
Mm.
and they had to leave very quickly, and they were scared to leave the house at some point, and things were getting kind of wild. So these kind of situations, but then again, who can foresee them
Sure,
entirely?
yeah.
And then there was another friend of mine who was told that she has a contract in Turkey, and they gave her the ticket. They booked the ticket for her and everything, and it was a city she never heard of. And she's flying there, and then as she arrives and she's going to the immigration hall, she realizes she's in Iraq.
Oh my gosh.
It was Erbil, which is Kurdistan.
Uh-huh.
But so they told her she's going to Turkey, but she went to Iraq. So that's kind of funny. And
Okay.
it kind of happened so fast that she didn't like do research or anything. She just kind of packed her bags and
Uh-huh.
went to the airport. So
So they told her one thing and sent her another place. Do you think they knew where they were sending her?
of course,
Okay.
of course.
Did you
It
ever
was
hear how that
dangerous
turned
at the
out?
time. This was before ISIS or anything. I'm not saying it was dangerous, but it was clearly to kind of not spook her.
I see.
Yeah.
So did it work out okay? Do you know?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my gosh. Well, okay, so we didn't quite get here. I was kind of leading into this, the whole upscale versus
Uh-huh.
less prominent places to dance.
Uh-huh. I
Um,
like how you say less prominent.
well, I'm trying to be diplomatic.
What for? Seedy,
Okay,
trashy.
Sweetie. So you mentioned something about sometimes it's better or more fun
Hmm.
in a seedier area or club than.
Hmm.
So what do you want to share about that?
Well, there was one particular contract that really highlighted the difference because I danced in both in one night. Like I had two shows every night. The first one was in this upscale, classy restaurant where families came for dinner. And, people didn't really pay much attention to me, and they had their dinner, and it was very quiet anyway, because those kind of places are very quiet on the weeknights. People come on the weekends with their family, and it's, a few tables on a Monday night, and you're just like, nobody's looking at you. And yeah, exactly. It's not inspiring necessarily. And then the second show was at this two-star hotel nightclub with a low ceiling. And I think my baby woke up. Sorry if there's some noise.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry
Um,
about
he's being taken care of.
it.
Uh, so, and the customers were men and prostitutes, right?
Oh.
It was not the kind of place where women would go to have fun. Everybody was working.
Uh-huh. You
That's
took the words right out of my
that's
mouth.
common because like the nightlife kind of revolves around alcohol and prostitution in the Gulf largely because it's drinking it's already against the religion, so anybody who's going into a club is already kind of like you know veering off the path, and it's already like this underworld kind of
Yeah,
setting.
I like the way you say that. Veering off the path.
Yeah, like not being on the straight and narrow. And so, but what happens in those places is that nobody's judging anyone because, we all bad. The dancer is certainly bad, right? She's
Oh,
not like a proper woman, right? And the singers would rather be singing someplace else for their reputation. And we all in the same boat. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So in the end, people are just kind of relaxed and having a good time and making the best of their night, and not worrying about what people think about them,
Yeah.
and oh, should I be looking at the dancer? I don't know if I should be looking at the dancer. Like, yeah,
I know. Don't you hate that?
I do from the bottom of my heart.
That that
What
that
will people think
awkward.
about me if I clap to the music? This kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah. So it's just fun.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Well, that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. Um, yeah, it's it's always um, I don't know if I want to call it unnerving or just I don't know when you're dancing in front of a group, a mixed group, and it could be male or female. Someone looks over and they're you know that they're watching, and then all of a sudden they look away, and it's like what?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I have more clothes on than a high school cheerleader for crying out loud. Um, yeah, and yeah, we could go on and on about that, but that's everybody knows that already.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Americans can be very stuffy.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's not just exclusive to the United States.
No, 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 no. But
Yeah.
sometimes you expect the Americans to be liberal and all understanding and everything, and then you hear these stories about how a school teacher gets fired because they dared dance on their free time. Like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
Yeah.
America? What?
Yeah. Well, anyway. So, in some of the notes that I was reading before our call, you had a little blurb about how to make yourself unfireable. And I'm sure that
Mhm.
everybody wants to hear about that. How do you do that?
It's not one specific thing. It's a package. It's like, okay, how are you a professional dancer? Okay, you have to do your job, you have to be on time, you have to look good, you have to smile, all these things, right? That's the dancing part.
Hmm.
It's not enough. You can still be replaced. To be unfireable is to kind of understand the needs of the venue. And like we were just saying, like there's different venues. So, for example, there was one time I had a contract in Ras El Khaimah, which is a sleepy town in the Emirates, an hour from Dubai, small place, definitely slow. Like the restaurants are kind of dead in the week. Um, so there was this one client who was there almost every night, a local guy, who was there by himself with his bottles of champagne, and it was kind of sad. Like he's there alone and in this, you know, restaurant that has no atmosphere, and he wouldn't like the way he looked at me made me uncomfortable. You know, maybe it was just his bitch face. Who knows? But like, I whenever there were other tables, like automatically my attention went to the other people who were like more like
Engaged.
lively,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, and engaged, and I didn't want to just stare at this one guy throughout my shows, but I should have, because that was the money guy.
Oh.
That was the guy who was kind of almost keeping the business afloat,
Oh.
and I should have understood that, looking at what's on his table, these bottles. And so he ended up saying, why doesn't she look at me? And that was a large reason why I was sent on my way.
Oh.
So I was kind of a beginner. It was maybe my third contract in the Middle East, and it was the first time I was in this kind of situation. I should have understood that this is the client I have to keep happy, because, oh, hello, there's almost nobody else there. So,
Yeah.
it's not about me and my comfort. I'm there to entertain. Yes. So,
Well, it was a learning experience. I'm sure
yeah,
that never happened again.
yeah, that never happened again. And that was like one part of the understanding what the venue needs out of you in any particular moment. You don't have to be the same dancer everywhere you go. You can adjust to whatever is, what kind of crowd, what kind of, yeah. The other thing is to have good relationships with the management. And sometimes, and this is a tough one to navigate, this might be the toughest thing of all, because you keep moving from place to place and you have to quickly assess like who is in charge here, and then what kind of people are they. because a lot of these guys are trying to date you. That's for sure. So you don't want to be too friendly, right? Because
Right.
you don't want to send the wrong message that you're somehow available, unless you are. I mean, I'm not judging. Sometimes.
Who are there's no judgment here. Nothing.
But like what like to kind of grease the wheels in the right way. And I saw these singers, the Lebanese female singers, they know how to do this instinctively. They are the masters of this thing. We Western dancers, we foreign girls, non-Arab dancers, we don't get it, you know. These girls get it. Like they know how to wrap the men around their little fingers, like in whatever way is necessary. Sometimes it's about like just being cute, just being like, you know, smiley and cute. It doesn't necessarily mean flirting, although that's sometimes a big part of it, but just kind of getting in with the management in a way that they wouldn't have the heart to send you away.
Right. Okay, I
You know
see.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these are the factors that
It's a
make you
very fine line to
unhireable.
walk.
Yes. Yes. Extremely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, all the managers probably talk to each other just like the dancers do.
Some of them not.
No?
There's a
Okay.
lot of bad blood too, you know, competition
Oh,
and stuff like that. But some of them.
yeah. Okay. Oh, oh my goodness. Yeah, and there are a number of stories about managers in the book that are very interesting to read.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
And it's always men.
Well,
Of all the hotels where I worked, there was one female GM,
really.
general manager, one. Not a single female F&B, food and beverage manager.
Well, given
Go
the
figure.
yeah,
Restaurant manager, forget it. Always men.
it's probably a cultural, is it a cultural thing? I mean, we have
Maybe
the
it's a
glass
hotel
ceiling,
industry thing too.
and the glass ceiling in the United States is not as high as it once was, but
Hmm.
you know, it's harder for women everywhere, I think, in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
easier in some ways too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's another story, another subject altogether. Um, so let's see. So you've been a traveling belly dancer. Is that an okay term to use?
Of
Traveling.
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've
Pretty
been
accurate.
well, for how many years now total?
That's tough because like the book details, I think 7 years, or
Hmm.
describes a 7 year time period. I was working with that agent for 6 years on and off with small breaks and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but 6 years, yeah,
Yeah, that's a while. That's a good chunk of time.
yeah.
What was the
And
favorite? Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so now I'm based in Vietnam at the moment. I just moved here like 6 weeks ago with my family that I
Hmm.
have now. And so of course I might go to the Emirates for New Year's Eve, you know, like if I don't find anything good here, I'll just go to Dubai because that's you know where the parties are. So
Hmm.
it's not that I'm no longer traveling, but it's hard to say exactly, uh, measure it in years because
Yeah.
there's ebbs and flows and things.
Right. So is there
Mm.
uh, well, let me ask you this question before I ask you what was your favorite place to work?
Ah, that's so hard.
Top three?
Ah. Very, very hard. Look, what happens, this has to do with traveling. Um, like, I feel like the longer you stay in one place, the more you love the place.
Hmm.
So there are places that really like got into your heart, like
Hmm.
Yemen and Algeria and that kind of countries. Were they my favorite countries to work specifically? Probably not. Probably the funnest places for working are, sorry to say, Egypt. It's always fun. Like it just
It's like yeah, it's like the
it's love and hate, but it's fun. It never fails to be fun. Um, The Emirates can be a nice place to work, Bahrain. But I enjoyed so many places. This is really like impossible to.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah,
you've been to a lot of places.
I have.
Also detailed in the book A Fire in the Belly. The traveling that you do is just or have done is that's some of the jaw-dropping stuff, when I was reading. You went where? What?
Yeah, where?
Yeah.
Was there any place or country that you didn't know of its existence? I know you haven't finished
Uh,
yet, but
there was one place, and I cannot remember the name of it because it was unfamiliar to me. I think it started with a B, but I couldn't say. I don't know off the top of my head.
okay.
Anyway, most of them I had heard of, at least heard of. Don't know
Uh-huh.
a lot about them, but yeah. Anyway, so you like to travel, and kind of get into the fabric of the society and get away
Yeah,
from the hustle and bustle of the touristy areas. Some of these countries
yeah.
are not tourist countries
No, not at all.
at
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Some of them are hard to get into.
And yet,
Where there's a will, there's a way.
yeah.
Um, yeah, for me, I've always been interested in culture and people and how people live their lives, like everyday lives of people. This is interesting for me. Um, Tourist attractions are nice, can be beautiful, amazing for sure, but I always kind of want to see the real life in any particular place. And then that means that any place for me is interesting.
Hmm.
And even more so if I've never been there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never needed a big reason to go someplace, just that I've never been there. Like I should see it.
Yeah. you I'm reminded of a passage in the book. You were at a border trying to get in, and I can't remember the country, but
Mm.
you'll remember, you'll know. And you were trying to get a visa, and someone asked you why you were going, and you said, "Well, there's a bridge there I've got to see." I think there's a bridge. Do you remember that?
Uh, yeah. I think you're combining two different things though. The
Oh,
bridge was in Yemen.
okay.
And at the time, you were able to get a visa on arrival to Yemen. You could just land into the airport and pay $50 and go in, which was amazing. Sorry. But of course, now there's war,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how you would get to Yemen these days. Sorry, let me take a sip of my
No worries.
coffee. So many things have changed
Yeah.
since I went to some of those places. And on that topic, of course, my biggest, maybe my only really regret during those years is that I didn't explore Syria
Uh,
when I could have. Um, I didn't go to Aleppo. I could have. I could have taken a taxi from Beirut. One of those times when I was just sitting and killing time at my agent's office and waiting for the next contract. I mean, I always ended up going someplace, but
yeah.
in hindsight, I should have gone to Aleppo because Aleppo is
Yeah.
pretty much leveled,
Yeah.
and now I can't, which goes to show that you never know when it's too late to do something that you want to do or think, oh, it would be cool to do that thing. Well, do it,
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh,
like
but the
everything in
things.
life, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
At least I went to Damascus, and that was nice. But
Yeah.
I don't
Interesting.
know when is the next possibility to really travel in Syria.
Yeah. 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 That is a question. So, um, so I was going to ask you before I started on this other tangent about Vietnam. You wouldn't
Hmm.
think that there would be. Is there belly dance work in Vietnam?
Well, I am looking for it as we speak.
Okay, so it's not falling off the trees, but
No, I am in a beach town called Nha Trang. I'm mispronouncing it like everything here. Um, Nha Trang, something like this. Still mispronouncing. Anyway, it is a beach town that has beach clubs and there is an entertainment scene. So I'm wedging my way into that.
Wedging your
Yeah.
way, an entertainment scene where there is belly dance present already, or
There
is
is
it getting?
not. I believe I'm kind of the only belly dancer in town. I think there are some local dance studios that are teaching classes, but as far as I can tell, there are there's nobody like performing actively,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I know. So
Mm.
maybe I can be that person.
Make the inroads, fire it up.
Hmm.
You have the
Yeah.
fire in the belly, so fire it up in Vietnam, right?
Sometimes it's good to be in a place with less competition and
Sure.
be like the person doing something new and different.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's hope that's the case.
One thing to be in a place where there's less competition, and another to be in a place where there's zero competition, because
Hmm.
it takes work to get,
Yeah.
to get that started.
Yeah, that's true.
People don't know what they want until you show it to them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to make like a lot of contacts and making some good contacts already,
Well, that's good. Well,
the
good
people
luck.
already in the entertainment scene, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel and,
Yeah.
so
Well, good luck. I hope you find something.
thank you.
Yeah, in short order. Um, so I would ask you, if you knew then what you know now in the beginning, what would you do differently?
About working in the Middle East,
Yes. Uh-huh.
honestly, I thought about that. Honestly, not much. I don't think there could be much that I could do very differently and have a very different outcome.
Hmm.
I think my biggest challenge starting over there was that, like, it was very much focused around the South Americans, and they had their middleman in Brazil and another one in Argentina, another one in Mexico, who was taking cuts as well and pushing for them. So I was always going to be up against people who have that push because nobody was pushing for me. So yeah, that was like really the biggest challenge.
Yeah. Is the market still pretty much dominated by the Brazilians, or you did mention that there were other
Other nationalities as well, but
nationalities?
yeah, South Americans, they have the look.
Yeah, it's distinctive. Hmm.
Yeah, they're beautiful women and they know how to present themselves. Like it's very, think of like Brazilian models and such.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know what to do, like the rest of us have to learn how to look good.
Yeah. They
But
they
they
have a
have
special
that,
knack.
yeah, like it comes natural of them and they grow up with that kind of thing.
Kind of like the
Like
Lebanese
women,
singers with yeah,
yes. Oh yes. They know. They roll out of bed and yeah, that's it. They look amazing. Cannot be
yeah.
said about all of us.
I know. The rest of us
Yeah. The
have to work a
some of
little
us,
harder.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I know that you wanted to read a passage from the book. Did you choose one that you want to?
I did. There's
Fantastic.
just a tiny one. It's about it's descriptive of my relationship with Panos, who was my agent,
Mm-hmm.
and had a lot of like awkward situations with him. And sometimes I felt like he likes me and he wants to be nice to me and help me and all that. And sometimes I felt like I'm just completely dispensable and replaceable. And so it was always like this kind of tightrope act
Mm.
with him, being in good terms with him. And
Do you still work with him?
basically, I'm sorry,
Do
do I
you?
still work with him? No,
Ah,
no, no, no. That bridge has burned.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, that's,
And now there's a book.
yeah, yeah. Once you get to the end, you will understand that I will no longer be able to work with him.
Oh,
Yeah. So, what I should say about the thing I'm going to read, there's a couple of characters. There's Oscar the Bloodsucker. Um, that's the Brazilian middleman, the recruiter who's sending girls from Brazil
Yes, I
to
remember
Panos in
him.
Lebanon.
Look. Hmm.
Yes. And if we think Panos's purpose was to collect commissions, wow, this guy, Oscar, wow. He literally just picks girls, says, you can go, and collects commissions from them forever.
Huh.
Pretty much. Yep.
But he keeps sending
Yep.
them to work.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry.
No worries.
So this is after I've had a contract ending a little bit badly in Egypt, and I'm kind of not in the best situation with my agent.
Okay.
Trying to reassess our relationship. Okay, I'm at his office in Lebanon. Nothing made me shrink in size like the burgundy leather chairs in front of Panos's desk. Sitting next to me was a new, exceptionally tall Brazilian beauty. She only had 6 months of belly dance training, but that hadn't stopped Oscar the Bloodsucker from recruiting her. The other Brazilians decried this new low in standards. She can't even walk. Panos thought the girl was a moneymaker in the rough and sent her to 2 hotels, both of which cut her contracts right off the bat. He wasn't giving up though. You have to make practic every day, many hours every day. You have to be ready for this contract in Dubai in 1 month. I promise them you will be good. She was dismissed. Panos turned his eyes on me. After Kolkata, I don't have anything for you. We stared at each other in silence. I knew I screwed up in Egypt, but this wasn't just about that. Why don't you put me somewhere in Dubai? I said. They only want famous dancers. The managers in Dubai don't know you. No chicken, no egg. It was an audacious claim, especially following the conversation I had just witnessed. For the Lebanese, making a blatantly untrue statement did not constitute lying. Panos was giving me true information in riddle form. Solving it was on me. What did he want from me? Money? Sex? Those were the 2 hard currencies women had at their disposal. We were at an advantage. Men only had one.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be in a hurry to get to the end of the book, so I have like 70 pages left to get the rest of that story. So no regrets though. You do it all again, and
Sure.
yeah. But well, I'm sure there were probably parts that you could leave out, but
Yeah,
love,
like of course small things, but all
but
in all,
that makes the good parts better, I think. Yes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just um, there's I didn't tell you about this yet. I always like to do this quick little lightning round thing that about your
Oops.
favorite thing. Yeah. If you don't mind,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
as quick as you can, just whip off, whatever it is, and if you don't want to, if you don't have a favorite, just say pass.
Okay.
I think I know the answer. Maybe know the answer to the first one. Okay, you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what's your favorite book?
Oh shit. I'm supposed to be much faster than this. Okay, I know, but let me think. The name is Beautiful Thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your
It's
favorite food?
about Indian bar dancers.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah. Did you think I'm gonna say my own book?
I did. I
Come on,
mean,
that's terrible.
okay. Well, you know what? That's probably why you were a little bit taken aback because you were thinking one thing and something else came up. So, yeah. Okay, getting back on track here. What's your favorite food?
Thai.
What's your favorite base color?
Pink.
Favorite splash color?
Pink.
What's your favorite day of the week?
The day my husband is off work.
Yay! Do,
Yay.
do you have a favorite poet?
No.
No. What about a favorite composer?
Ah, no. Oh, shit.
You don't have to have one. Okay, we'll move to the next one. What's your favorite accent?
Uh, oh, I suck at this, huh?
No, you're just very thoughtful, that's all. So if you're going to listen to someone talk, what's the favorite accent?
Gosh,
Who would you love to hear talk? You've heard so many.
I'm terrible.
No.
Okay, Egyptian. It's kind
Okay.
of cute how
Okay.
they add vowels in all kinds of places.
Okay. What's your favorite juice?
Pineapple.
Favorite behavior?
Uh,
That's kind of a weird one, but
behavior. Energetic.
right on. Do you have a favorite macam?
No.
Okay. What about a favorite instrument?
Oud.
Oud, yes,
Yeah.
nice. All right. So those are Zaina Brown's favorite things. Some of our favorite things.
That was so difficult.
Well,
It's gonna be so hard.
okay, I want to go back to the book, The Ethiopian Belly Dancer. Say that title another time.
The what?
The title of the book about the Ethiopian belly dancer.
Ethiopia.
Oh, did
What?
I get that wrong?
What are we talking about?
Your favorite
Sorry.
book.
Oh, the book. I'm looking at my book. Like, no, no, there's no belly dance in that book.
Oh, I
That's what got me
misunderstood you.
confused. A beautiful thing. It's either a beautiful thing or just beautiful thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It tells
I
about
misunderstood.
Indian bar dancers, and the world they live in is so cruel and so grimy, and yet there are similarities to the Middle Eastern dance world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Indian bar dancers. Okay.
yeah,
That's interesting. I'm going to
yeah,
check that
yeah.
out. Beautiful
That is
thing.
jaw dropping. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me just put that on my list here because I'm going to put um, the resources, things that I want to send people to
Mhm,
on the episode page. So
mhm.
I'll get that. I'll get that from you later.
The name of the author is Sonia Faleiro, that I know for sure. Sounds Brazilian, but she's in fact Indian.
Bolero.
Faleiro.
Oh, spell it. F-A.
Faleiro.
Perfect. All right. All right. So, if people could take one thing away from this call, what should it be?
Follow your dreams.
Yeah,
Cliche as it is. Follow your passion and do what you have to do.
you've
Play
done
the game. Suck it up. Do what you have to do. Yeah.
that.
It's never without a price, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, everything. Doing nothing is has a price.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to have some very interesting stories to tell your grandchildren. You probably
And
won't
they're gonna have to read the book. No, but seriously, actually, that's like one of the motivations for me to write the book and to make a documentary was to do them for myself, you know?
hmm
So that's years and years and decades from now, I have something tangible to
Yeah.
look back on because memories fade, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, well. So the book is Fire in the Belly, Memoirs of Falafel Flings and Shiny Things. And I am going to put a link to that. There is already a link on the episode page, but I'll
Hmm.
make sure that that is very easy for people to find. It's wonderful. It's very interesting.
It's
It's
honest.
and I think that's the best part of it. I mean, it's really an inside gritty view. It's all the stuff. It's not sugar coated. And I think that's what makes it most interesting because you may not have written this book if you were still working with that same age.
I couldn't have. Yes.
No,
Mhm.
no, of course not. So, so I'm not surprised that you aren't working with it. But anyway, and then the documentary also, the title is Traveling Belly Dancer in India.
Mhm.
And that's available on Vimeo, and I will put a link to that on the episode
Mhm.
page also. And I am going to check that out. So uh, I think we've just about. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, or anything else that we've hit some pretty big points here?
So we have, um, yeah, a lot of dancers, of course, want to work in Arab countries at least for some time, and it's like a big dream for many people, especially working in Egypt. But overall, um, and people sometimes ask me how and ask for advice and this kind of thing. And what I find to be like common is that sometimes people think that it's you don't have to commit, and it's like, oh, I have my dance school and I have my day job and I have my boyfriend and my cats and my apartment, and so I could go and work somewhere for this time period, this 2 month period in the summer or something. So how can I find work for this time window that's convenient for me? You get what I'm saying? This kind of,
Yeah,
and that's just not gonna
it doesn't work
work.
like that.
It doesn't work like that. And anyone I know, myself and anyone I know, and I know a lot of dancers who successfully made some kind of career in the Arab world, they kind of had to leave their lives behind
Hmm.
in order to do that. And a lot of times the beginning was rough, and maybe you didn't have work. Actually, most of them didn't really have work set up for them when they went. They just made the decision to go and to look for those opportunities and to be available for them.
Hmm.
Sometimes people didn't work in months before they got their first break, so to speak. So that's kind of how it is, and you have to be near the opportunities. Like anything in life, usually you have to be ready to step in when the opportunity arises. If you're just kind of waiting for that chance, you're in the States or something, and you write to some agents and say, oh, I'm in New York and you have anything for me, they'll be like, yeah, okay, like I'll put you on my B list if I'm having an emergency. But for sure, they first contact the people who are nearby.
Hmm. Well, that
You know
makes
what I mean?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's something that's not really clear
Yeah.
for
It is
many
a life
people.
choice.
Yeah.
And you were in a position to do that, but your life is different now, yes? A little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. I have a 10-month-old son.
I've seen pictures. He's adorable.
Oh, thank you.
And for 10 months out, you look fantastic. Go you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, with that, I'll just do a little housekeeping here at the end. If you're on the video call, we appreciate you being here. And if you're getting this on the download, not the download, but the download. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. This is the end of the call, but the conversation isn't over. We have a private Facebook group for the Clubhouse, and you'll receive an email shortly with an invitation to join that Facebook group. There's a little bit of an approval delay because I want to make sure that everybody that comes in is actually a belly dancer and supposed to be in there. The email will also have a link to the call recording and any of the resources mentioned in the call, a survey asking for your feedback and if you have ideas for topics or speakers or improvements, And also want to let everybody know about the next Clubhouse call, which is actually in October. It's a double October Clubhouse call. We're going to have Sadia of Texas on Monday, October 21st at 3:30 p.m. Pacific. She's going to talk with us about balancing your belly dance career with motherhood. And lastly, this clubhouse is the come on in kind. It's not the no boys allowed kind. So if you know somebody that would be interested, please invite them to join us at bellydancegeek.com/clubhouse. And don't forget our sponsor, the Belly Dance Bundle, on sale until October 23rd, which is Wednesday, less than a week from now. And you can find information about that. And Rock the Routine, which is the Belly Dance Geek course that is included in the Belly Dance Bundle. You can find that at bellydancegeek.com/bundle routine. And until next time, happy dancing. And thank you so much, Zaina, for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. It was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. For more geek-tacular resources, visit bellydancegeek.com.